Let's talk about family entertainment. You're about to hear the latest trends, expert insights, and behind-the-scenes stories of family fun centers. We'll be talking with arcade vendors, food vendors, attraction vendors, plus sharing life stories of owner-operators and much more. Stay tuned for engaging and informative content that will keep you coming back for more. And now, here's your host, Jeff Pierce of Atomic City Family Fun Center with the FEC World Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back once again to the FEC World Podcast. I'm Jeff Pierce, and we are here to do nothing but help you with family entertainment. The family entertainment industry is a lot of fun. And if you're thinking about getting into it or already in it and say, hey, I need to change a few things up, that's what we're here for, folks. And before I get going with our first guest, our guest for the day, just notice that we are on Spotify. You can find us on Spotify now, YouTube, and Facebook. It's the FEC World Podcast with Jeff Pierce. And now to our show, a very dear friend of mine. Once again, folks, I got another great friend on here. And that's the thing about family entertainment business. You're going to make a lot of friends, so just get ready. But I got a good friend, Pete Gustafson. Did I do that right, Pete?
Pretty close, yeah. Gustafson, you're good enough, yeah.
Gustafson. He is the Executive Vice President of the AAMA. Folks, I'm going to introduce you to Pete. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm well, Jeff. Thanks for having me today.
Well, we appreciate you and what you do. You are well known in the industry, and if people don't know you, they're going to know you really soon. I know we got a big event coming up that we're going to be talking about for the AAMA. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Pete, and how you got into this world of entertainment.
Well, 45 years ago, my brother-in-law was an executive at Bally Pinball, and I was working in a fast food restaurant, and he had said to me, Pete, I'm going to offer you a career. And he got me into Bally Pinball back in 1980. So it was August 4th, 1980 when I started at Bally Pinball. And I don't know if you know what was going on at that time, but pinballs were hot. This was a 120,000 square foot factory with 1,600 employees, some days producing 600 pinball machines a day. Wow. So I thought I started at GM. Unfortunately, I didn't, because the video game world came on and kind of crushed pinball for a while. So yeah, I've been pinball's near and dear to my heart. From Bally, I went to work at Aladdin's Castle. And Aladdin's Castle at the time had over 500 locations with 28,000 pieces of equipment. And I was responsible for the technical support of that equipment. That was quite a challenge. And then some friends of mine who I was with at Bally Pinball got a hold of me with a startup at Data East Pinball and asked me if I wanted to come run technical support there. I did, because I just loved manufacturing and I loved pinball. And that launched me into Sega. I was put into sales when I was at Data East. And moved into sales and marketing. Data East was purchased by Sega. Sega Pinball was purchased by, Data East was purchased by Sega. And that's how I started my 25-year career at Sega. And later on, I guess for the past 20 years or so, I've been involved with AAMA. First as a committee member, and then on the board of directors, and finally as a volunteer president of the association. And I really enjoyed my time working with that group of people, collaborating with really smart leaders of the industry who were my competitors, but I got to know them in an entirely different way when they would come to the AAMA functions. And I really enjoyed my time with those guys and those folks. And the opportunity came along 8.5 years ago for me to take this seat and lead the organization, and haven't looked back, having a great time doing it.
That's great. That's great, Pete. So if you don't mind, for those who don't know, tell us what AAMA stands for and what it's all about.
AAMA started 44 years ago. It's the American Amusement Machine Association. It was originally it was exclusively made up of manufacturers of amusement games. And a little known fact, they were paying a percentage of sales, and sales were pretty good back then. We had some members paying $40,000, $50,000 a year for the right to be a member of the AAMA.
Wow.
You may recall back in the mid 80s, there was this thing called the home gaming industry that came along, and that kind of crushed our little arcade business for a while. So we had
Right.
to kind of circle the wagons, and we included the distributor community into our fold. And from there, we added suppliers to the amusement game industry, people that make the plush that go on the redemption counters, people that make the transaction devices that you swipe your card in when you start a game, and
Right.
so on. And from there, we also added professional service organizations, so financial institutions that focused on our industry, architectural companies that focus on our industry, and so on. And lastly, and certainly not least, of course, you're certainly one of them, we added the Family Entertainment Center owner-operator community. And we did so because that community clearly uses the vast majority of the products that we manufacture, distribute, and supply. So it's kind of a good idea to have that group in the conversation, telling us what we should be doing to support that one leg of the stool, as it were. So yeah,
Yeah.
it is essentially the entire ecosystem of the family entertainment industry. And I'd like to make this distinction, something about AAMA that's different from other organizations. First, we have that complete ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
Ecosystem. But in addition to that, I like to think of our industry as being in the neighborhood. We're not theme parks, right? We're not, there's no cost to enter 99% of our venues. And we're a Tuesday night and the kids are driving you nuts and I don't want to make
Mhm.
dinner and you don't want to make dinner. Let me say we throw the kids in the SUV and go over to the local family entertainment space, give them a handful of credits. You and I can have a glass of wine and a pizza and enjoy the evening. So
Yeah.
we're as I say, we're in the neighborhood. And I think that is a unique distinction of what our business is versus saving money for 5 years, getting airplane tickets, putting kids in hotels and rental cars so you can spend a week and 60% of your time that week getting them dressed and finding some place to eat. Um,
Right.
so
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
so we're and the business has been remarkably resilient. We've gotten to a point, and certainly you can attest to this, Jeff, with what you're doing down in Atomic City, of aggregating multiple attractions under one roof. We're no longer an arcade. We're a lot more than arcades.
Right.
And there's something for everyone in a typical family entertainment center.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's great, but AAMA has a different side as well with the charitable organization, the charitable part. Can you tell us about how you get involved with that? I know it
Sure. We've got we have a foundation called the American Amusement Machine Charitable Foundation.
hmm
That's been around for I want to say 30-ish years, and we've took us a while to kind of get our uh, uh, get the formula right for how we were going to raise money. And we hit on something about 10 or 12 years ago that was brought to us by and by the way, our charity focuses on families and children in need. And that's an obvious choice for us because that's who's supporting us. That's how we make our living is with families and children. So it
hmm
seems like the right thing to give to those in need when they are in need.
Right.
And we have three primary charities that we support. We support Laurie's Children's Hospital here in Chicago. They serve free of charge 250,000 patients a year. Kids with cancer, families going through some really dark times, and we are very supportive of them. We support an organization called Sunrise Association. Sunrise Association is growing rapidly. They've got 8 or 10 campuses now around the country and around the world, and they have plans to grow from there. And what those are day camps for kids with cancer and their siblings, because in their world, they believe that a kid with cancer is really a family with cancer,
Right.
and those siblings shouldn't be, neglected. And so they get to go to these camps, and they'll meet that patient, that child, where they are physically, and allow them to have a day at camp and forget about the treatments and everything else they're going through. So that's a
hmm
really great program. And the other one we support is called Keen. Kids Enjoy Exercise Now, and that's an organization again, with multiple campuses around the country that focuses on children with physical needs, children that might be autistic, children who typically don't get to participate in gym class. And so we want to meet them at a place where they are and give them some ability to have some physical activity. Those are our three primary charities. But several years ago, we hit upon something that really catapulted our fundraising, which was the Lifetime Achievement Award ad journal. And what we do is we go out to industry friends and we ask them to support an ad in the journal that recognizes our Lifetime Achievement Award winner for that year. I'm proud to say that this little association of roughly 180 members today, we've raised as much as $500,000+ in a year, primarily through the ad journal, through something we're doing at the Amusement Expo called the Honor Roll. And when I speak to other trade association leaders, and I mention those numbers, they're stunned by them. Some of these are organizations that have trade shows where 45,000 people attend, and they're not even coming close to what we're able to achieve. So that speaks to the generosity of our members and the fact that what we're doing is landing with them is something that, yes, indeed, I want to participate in that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Amusement Expo. Let's talk about that. We got something coming up next week, something big.
Yeah, well, not next week, but next month. The Amusement Expo has been a wonderful partnership between ourselves and our sister organization, the Amusement and Music Operators Association. The Amusement and Music Operators Association is primarily made up of route operators. And a route operator is somebody that doesn't own the building where the games are located. They own the games and they work out a revenue split. So when you see a pool table or a jukebox, a dartboard, an IT golf game, and games, tavern games and so forth. Typically, those aren't owned by the bar. They're owned by an operator who has a number of locations that they service with their equipment. We came together during the Great Recession and thought, this is not working. We had two trade shows, the AMOA show, which was controlled by AMOA, and the ASI, Amusement Showcase International, which was controlled by AAMA. AMOA had their show in the fall. We had ours in the spring. And in 2009, we came together, one industry, one show. And we formed the Amusement Expo International. And that has been, it's been fantastic since then. We hold it in the spring, in March, typically every year. And year on year, that show has done, other than the COVID years, has done nothing other than grow. We're set for another record year this year in total attendance, in number of exhibitors, as well as the footprint size, the square footage that we take up. And in fact, kind of a cool little factoid, there's a magazine called the Trade Show Executive Magazine. I've never read it, maybe you haven't either, but they do a fastest 50 growing trade shows every year. They give an award. For the past couple of years, the Amusement Expo has been part of the fastest 50 growing trade shows for attendance, for total number of exhibitors, and for square foot of the trade show floor. So we're doing something right. Our industry is healthy. And again, I come back to what I said earlier about us being in the neighborhood for folks like yourselves who are looking specifically for amusement games and ways to grow the family entertainment center business. Probably you're not looking at $25 billion roller coasters or water park rides, which you would find at the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions, the IAAPA show. You're looking at something more specific for what your business requires. Well, you come to our show because that's much more focused on that family entertainment center space and community. And we get great attendance from all of our manufacturer members. It's a must-attend event of the year, and certainly I think the best show for the family entertainment center community.
So, and give me the dates on that again.
The show is coming up the 17th through the 20th. We start on Monday the 17th with a day and a half of education. So the 17th and 18th will be focused exclusively on education. And then the trade show floor opens on Wednesday the 19th and again on Thursday the 20th. We have a number of networking events that we hold. So immediately following the education conclusion on Tuesday afternoon, we'll have the all industry gala where everybody can come together and have a great networking opportunity that Tuesday evening. And again, on Wednesday afternoon on the trade show floor, we hold an event called Beers and Cheers. And that's where we recognize the best of the best, our best manufacturers, distributors, family entertainment center owner operators, suppliers. AAMA recognizes the operator of the year, route operator of the year. So that's kind of celebrating achievements in the industry for us. And again, an opportunity to get together and, hey, it's called Beers and Cheers. There's going to be beer there.
The important part,
Wednesday afternoon. So yeah, it's that show has really grown, and the partnership between us and our friends over at AMOA has been nothing short of remarkable. It's really helped us both create a show that is so much more than the individual parts were previously. And something we're doing in addition, and we've been intentional with this, is we're bringing on co-location partners to the show. We started out with the National Bulk Vending Association. They had a trade show, and it wasn't attracting a whole lot of folks. And we said, well, why don't you come put your show on our floor? So they still have their brand identity. If you look at all the collateral that comes with the Amusement Expo, they're called out as the National Bulk Vending Association as a co-location partner. We went to the laser tag industry. They had a trade show of their own. Again, wasn't attracting a whole lot of folks, and being part of our show just brought in a lot more opportunity for them. We've done it with the virtual reality community. We have a robust education program that started back in 2016. And I'd venture to say that our VR education program is one of, if not the best, literally on the planet. It's led by Bob Cooney, who is a VR guru. He's probably the most respected and knowledgeable virtual reality lecturer, writer, and so forth on the VR products. And last but not least, we were successful in bringing in the Billiard Congress of America. And what they focus on, there's a nice crossover there. They're focused on billiard halls, but also a big part of their business is in home game sales. So think of when you go to buy a barbecue or a hot tub, a swimming pool, and amusement games. They're these family entertainment home center sales centers. And I'm sure you've got one in your community. And we brought those folks in, and there's a great deal of crossover. You know, certainly during COVID, something that our manufacturers realized is that people want to play our games, and they want to play them at home. So a lot of folks, like the skee ball folks, made home versions of their games. Clearly, pinball was a very popular product during the pandemic for home sales, and so on. There's a great crossover of product that works certainly in the arcade, but also for you put a game room together in your home, video games and so forth. So they've been a really nice boost to the show. And I think at this year's show, we'll have close to 1,000 booths, which is that's big, man. That's a big show. We'll get 5,000 attendees. And for us, that's a really significant achievement for us. So, you know, when we adding the BCA, the Billiard Congress of America, was really the biggest boom of bringing in a co-location partner. I mean, they're going to have over 200 booths by themselves at this year's show. So that it really makes the show. I don't know how long you've been going to trade shows of either AMOA or the Amusement Expo, or I'm sorry, the Amusement Showcase International before they were together. But back in the day, there were some big shows, right? We had some bigger shows. We're getting back to that level now. It's really heartwarming to see how successful the business has been and how relevant that trade show is. So if you want to find out something about the Family Entertainment Center business, you want to put your toe in the water to see what's out there, this is a great place to start. The education program will focus on really relevant, important topics to the business. You'll see all the latest and greatest product and services on the trade show floor. And the other thing about our business, Jeff, and I'll bet you can speak to this, is the sharing that goes on. Now, I've only been in this business. I mean, I've 45 years I've been doing this. And so I just take it as, well, that's how you do things, right? That's not how you do things anywhere else. When you come into this business, we want all the boats in the harbor to go up when the tide comes in. You know, we don't want somebody bringing us down. So we really work as a industry to collaborate and share best practices and ideas freely, so that we support one another and have this the perception of the public of doing the right thing, so quote unquote, with family entertainment. That's exactly what we provide. We're not in the slot machine business. We're not in any other kind of concerning industry. We're out there about having fun and creating fun. We were just talking before you started about how tomorrow I'm leaving for Washington, D.C. to talk about the challenges our businesses are facing, whether it's in taxes or regulations and so on. And I'm sure you're doing the same thing going up to Frankfurt in your state. So it's kind of interesting that we're both doing the same thing on the same day. But when we go to have those meetings with congressional leaders, we're very much more approachable. We're not in the gun business. We're not in the pharmaceutical business. We're not in the insurance business, right? We're in the family entertainment center space, and they all have stories of a time interacting with our products and services. So it's a really great starting point for us to be able to win friends and get influential people to support our causes. And we talk about things like, when you think about tariffs, don't just think about Ford Motor Company. Many of the games that we manufacture require parts that are only manufactured in China. We can't get them anywhere else. So, think of those things when you're considering regulations or taxation. We're small business. There's 36 million small businesses in the United States, and we're part of that. And that's the backbone of this country. Small businesses are the engine that drives the economy in this country. And let's keep supporting that and ensuring that small businesses on a level playing field with all the big corporations and can survive by just being innovative and creative and doing what we continue to do, create fun for families and children.
As a co-owner, thank you for going to Washington for our business. We appreciate that very much.
Yeah, you're most welcome. We got a good crowd this year coming. This particular visit. So we're going to be broken into a couple of different groups, and we're going to hit a good portion of Capitol Hill. So if that weather stays away, we'll be able to get there and do our job.
Yeah, I hope you have safe travels back home for sure.
Yeah.
So great information on the AAMA. So tell me how, if someone wanted to become a member or learn more, where they can go on your website or what the case may be as far as joining the AAMA.
Sure. Our website is coin-op.org. So coin-op.org. There's a membership application there. And I think one of the things that really makes us stand out as an organization. So why would you join AAMA? What's in it for a family entertainment center? I would say the primary thing is exclusive access to industry leaders. You want to learn about what's coming next product-wise. You want to talk to your peers about what's working for them and what's not working for them. Sometimes that's more important. That's a place where that can happen. You can create high-value relationships. We're not a giant organization where you get lost in the white noise. We encourage participation and engagement. And we're also not tied to stuffy protocols. Case in point, our current president has been with the association for probably under 5 years. And that doesn't happen with many organizations where that rapid rise occurs. But it occurs here because that's the best person for the job. Right? They're the ones that are showing the leadership and the vision that we need to continue to grow our community and serve our members. But really, I think that probably if I could name one thing or identify one thing that makes being a member of AAMA of value, it is absolutely those relationships that you'll be able to create by attending our events, by joining our committees, by getting involved. I mean, you can make a real difference for your business and your industry here at AAMA. It's someplace where you can, as much as you put in, that's what you're going to get out. It's and as I go back to what I said earlier about the sharing, that really is a unique part of our industry, and I think a really strong point of our industry. I like to call us, say about AAMA, we're small but fierce.
Right.
We're small enough to care, big enough to matter. And so, there's a lot of value in our community for members of the industry to to help them grow and become better professionals in the business.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the word unity. I like
Yeah.
we're all one in this, and I'm glad you brought that up. I bring it up about almost every podcast. You know how the importance is that we learn from each other, and we've taken someone else's plan or idea and we've utilized it, and some have utilized ours, and that's
Sure.
just how we roll in this business, and it's a lot of fun, and
It is.
the people you make, I mean, are more than friends. I mean, it's almost like a family,
And you're
So
not wrong, but think about why is that? Oh yeah, we're in the game business.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're in the fun
game
business. I mean, that kind of tees you up to have some good times.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, Pete, before we get off here, if you don't mind, can you give the ones that's thinking about getting into the business a little piece of advice?
Boy, I think, I'm going to say it again, seek out those trade events where there is education taking place. Certainly the Amusement Expo is one of them. It's not the only one. We've got an organization that's part of our association that runs Amusement 360. That's a fabulous event that's held twice a year. There's other events taking place throughout the year. So really look at that industry calendar and immerse you. There's Foundations University, where you can get some really foundational information shared by guys who've been doing this for a long time. But I think that's the most important thing, is to create that network, to build those relationships, and start here at, the the American Amusement Machine Association. You will not be neglected. You'll be included. You're going to be asked to participate in committees and join us in events and have access to some really great people that are invested in ensuring that you succeed. So yeah, I would say just immerse yourself in the community, because we all want you to succeed.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for being on here with us, Pete. We appreciate you very much.
That's my pleasure, Jeff. It really is.
I'd like to get you back on here again. I know you're full of knowledge in this industry, and I'd love to talk to you some more. And we want to thank you for joining us once again for the FEC World Podcast. Remember to find us on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for taking the time to enjoy this episode of the FEC World Podcast with Jeff Pierce. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, filled with industry secrets and exciting updates. Be sure to subscribe to this show, leave us a review, and let us know what you think. Join us next week for more captivating interviews and essential tips from the FEC world. See you soon on the next FEC World Podcast.